The state Supreme Court's Disciplinary Commission is moving forward with its latest investigation into Attorney General Todd Rokita. This week, the commission filed a petition to have a document unsealed which details the conditional agreement Rokita reached after he was initially investigated for the comments he made on Fox News about a local abortion provider. After that investigation, Rokita publicly denied any wrongdoing, but in this motion, the commission suggests Rokita's public statements weren't consistent with the manner in which he acknowledged responsibility in that agreement that they're trying to unseal. Meantime, the U.S. Supreme Court will soon hear two landmark cases, including an appeal that could overturn hundreds of charges stemming from the January 6 riots, including one against former President Trump. Next year, the court will also take up its first abortion-related case since overturning Roe v. Wade. This case centers on a drug known as mifepristone that's commonly used in abortions and how the FDA regulates it. The Supreme Court ruling on that is expected in late June. So let's talk about all this with our panel right now. With us today, we have former state party chair for the Indiana Democrats, Robin Winston, 2016 vice chair for the Indiana Trump campaign, Tony Samuel, and two former state reps, former Democratic Representative Terry Austin and former Republican Representative Mike Murphy. Mike, I'll start with you. How could these Supreme Court cases impact the election next year? And what about the impact of this impeachment inquiry right now in Washington?
Well, I think all three of them could be huge individually and certainly in the aggregate as well. I think particularly troublesome, depending on which way it goes, is the Supreme Court case where they're going to hear whether the rioters, so to speak, the insurrectionists, whatever you want to call them, were actually acting within their constitutional rights to do what they did. That could have huge implications. Either way they go, it's going to make somebody, extremely mad
it's going to be a big case. President Trump's team hoping it might give him some immunity potentially. Terry, what's your view on all of this from across the aisle?
Well, I think that he's, this really makes him sort of a winner. Again, it gives him additional opportunity to sort of escape unscathed, quite honestly.
Particularly if the court rules in his favor.
Yes, and it buys him more time, quite honestly. And this just sort of, I think, plays into his game plan, his long-term game plan, quite honestly.
Tony, is that part of the plan to buy him more time, former President Trump and his legal team essentially kind of seeking immunity from the court in some of these legal situations? Is this more about delaying some of these trials until after the election?
Well, the real issue here is that the Justice Department and the Democrat Party are trying to tie him up from campaigning. He's the leader on the Republican side. We know that. We talk about it weekly. He's also beating Biden in the polls. So they tie him up in the courts with all these various court cases. If they win any of them, they'll have to go to an appeal. So this is going to drag out through the election. The most important thing to note right now is that Biden's approval rating is at 33% from the latest Pew Research poll. His disapproval is at 64%. That's unheard of. So they're in trouble. They need some kind of court win for the prosecution. And yes, of course, the Trump team needs time to look through and make sure they have the proper defense. It's going to play out for months, and it's going to be just crazy to watch.
Robin, how concerning are some of those poll numbers to you, especially now that this impeachment inquiry moves forward in the House?
You never pay attention to national poll numbers. Look at the state by state. I can roll off numbers. Pennsylvania, the president's ahead. Wisconsin, he's ahead. Michigan, he's ahead. That's where it really matters, not the big national polls. And we've also know that people don't always tell the polls the truth. As far as the Supreme Court ruling on the insurrectionists, are we going to let people say that's a legitimate purpose, to storm the Capitol violently, to say that you want to overthrow an election? I certainly hope the Supreme Court will not rule in their favor.
We'll see what the court does. Mike, what about that Todd Rokita probe? Is this second disciplinary investigation perhaps going to be more of a problem for Rokita than the first one?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to argue the legal points here, but the political points are comical. I mean, it reminds me, him taking on the Supreme Court reminds me of the General Assembly suing the governor. You never win. You never take on the Supreme Court. You never sue the governor. I've told clients that for years. But for Todd, it's about gaining more visibility. He hasn't been to the border in a while. He's got to get something going.
Terry, how do you see all of this? Is there a chance any of these issues make it harder for Rokita to be on the ballot next year and indeed run for re-election if he were to have his law license suspended or if there were additional action taken by the commission?
Well, I think he's playing a dangerous game. I think you can only push the disciplinary commission so far. And Todd continues to sort of hedge his bets. He's done it time and time again, and at some point, he's going to come up with a losing hand.
Tony, let's talk about 2024 here, not just this race for AG, but also the race for governor. We had Suzanne Crouch on earlier. She's been pretty vocal about her tax plan, even as some of the other candidates criticize her for it. She's kind of putting this front and center when it comes to her campaign and her platform in this race for governor.
I think it's brilliant of her, and I don't get the criticism. Who can say that the taxpayer money belongs to the government when it's the taxpayer money? Anything we can do to get the taxpayer money back into the hands of Hoosiers is a good thing. The thing that she is trying to do, the tax, cut the individual income tax, 8 of the 9 top states with the best tax environment for business have eliminated that income tax, including Tennessee, Florida, Texas. We should do it if we can. I think we can, and it's a good thing that she's talking about it. Real quick on Todd Rokita, the disciplinary commission, it's another example of the weaponization of the justice system here in Indiana, just like it is happening to Trump. They're trying to keep Todd's name in the media in a negative light, so it helps their Democrat candidate, because other than that, she really doesn't stand a chance. We don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do. It's unheard of for them to, this agreement, for them to open it up, but we'll see.
Robin, your response to that?
During Governor O'Bannon's term, you never even heard of the disciplinary commission. They have been front and center under Curtis Hill, now under this guy. If anybody served on it, appointed by Republicans, they would be looking back thinking, I never knew I was going to be doing all this extra work here. As far as 24 goes, if it was such a great plan, Tony, why haven't the conservative tax-cutting Republicans introduced it themselves? It's not a good plan, and they know that. It's a campaign thing that she's got out there.
What about this governor's race? Do Democrats look at this race and see any of the GOP candidates as more defeatable than the others?
I don't know that we see them as more defeatable. I think that their candidate right now, their leading candidate, is Mike Braun. And I think that he's going to continue to probably tell people his polls, he's saying this, that his polls show him way ahead. But we've got an outstanding candidate in Jennifer McCormick. And I think you're going to see a lot of energy behind her campaign.
Mike, I know a lot of people have been backing Crouch in your party, a lot of endorsements, but as Robin mentioned, Braun does seem to have the lead when it comes to name ID, when it comes to polls, and he has a lot of money.
Well, 2 things. First of all, leadership is all about looking at every situation with the greatest possibilities, and that's exactly what Suzanne Crouch is going to do, is she's doing right now. She may not have every idea nailed down perfectly, but she's thinking the biggest thoughts. Everybody else wants to steal water from somebody or do something else very small. The other guys are playing small ball, and Suzanne's playing the big game.
Water has been a big issue, no doubt. We've talked about that, and we will continue to talk about it here on this program. Coming up, 2 big names in politics come to Indy, and the state of Indiana celebrating more than 200 years of statehood. We'll show you how they celebrated at the State House coming up next.